How's it going? So I want to make more like a backup video, I suppose, why jungling is not really viable. Because look at his CS in here. This is like Fogged. He's a Tryndamere main, and he is playing an Iron. And he was doing what's called around the world trip, which is take all of your farm and take all of the enemy jungler farm. So at the moment, I think he's playing against Jax, and Jax is like level 7, so there's 9 level difference. Well, more than 9. Or is it like, yeah, 9 level difference. Because Jax can't farm at all. So you see, this is why you don't see like Master Yi in high elo jungling, because people are just gonna do that to you. And I also, when I was playing, I was trying jungle at some point, and I was in fact playing Master Yi. And some people just started picking Udyr, and they literally run into you, and they just kill you, and that's it. Well, they don't kill you; you can run away always with Master Yi. It's not a big deal. But you can't farm because there is no farm to take. Does that make sense? And it doesn't take a lot of skill to do well to get to his level of farm. He just needs to know, like, he's very good at timing the jungle and pathing correctly, right? But when I was playing it, the problem I run into is you take Master Yi, they counter pick you, and then they literally run at you and they ward your red and blue, whatever, and they know where you are, and they just literally run at you and they just kill you, try to kill you all the time. So even though you run away, you don't die, you still cannot level up and you can't farm because they've taken all the farm. Now, obviously, they're not as efficient as Fogged, but like we're talking, you'll be farming maybe blue and red, you can't farm at all. Like I'm talking, I played like 3, maybe 4 games. I remember them specifically. It's just like there was no blue and red to take at all. And what do you do then? That's what I'm saying is that, okay, so laning doesn't work because the entire team feeds, right? So if you're like winning your lane, it's not going to work. Now, if you try jungle, this shit is going to happen to you. Because it doesn't take a lot of brains to take, for example, Udyr. And then now what allows this to happen is you have to pick a champion that counters the other champion. And then you pick green smite, I think, and you take these 2 runes. And then that's it. Because you're so fast moving around the map, it's like it's obnoxious. And Udyr by himself has move speed, right? So I mean, it's not like he's not going to be as good as Tryndamere because Tryndamere can spin through walls naturally, right? But Udyr is like fast enough. And my question is like, what do you do? How do you play the game? Like the problem with League overall is like what drives me insane is that counter picking exists. Like 2 things that drive me insane with League is counter picking and crowd control, because both of those things like they allow inferior players to stop you from playing the game. That's why I like one-on-one, because Tryndamere counters everything, and the only way to play against Tryndamere is you either have to pick Tryndamere or you have to pick viable champions, which is like Rek'Sai, Volibear, Warwick. There are some possible picks like maybe Kalista, but I don't know. They're very inconsistent. It depends on how I play. There are most of the time solid picks against Tryndamere himself. So it's a mirror matchup, or Volibear or Warwick. They're consistently difficult to beat for me. Even when I'm sharp, it's still difficult to play. Other kind of matchups, it depends. I could be like tired, or I could be like watching television and drinking tea, so I don't give a shit, And sometimes I lose to like Kalista or something like that. Aatrox, for example, is another one. Occasionally, right? But overall, I control the game. So like my point is like League is like this counter picking and crowd control is just like what do you do with it? Like what do you do against this where they pick Tryndamere and you pick, I don't know, some scaling jungler like Nasus, for example. Let's say you play, I don't know, Silver Elo, right? You pick Nasus. Nasus is a good pick in Silver because if you scale up, there's really not a lot of counterplay to him. If and all you have to do is build the right items and have a good setup, which is your runes, right? And I mean, Tryndamere comes in and just takes all your farm. What exactly do you do? or you're Master Yi, you don't really know how to play Master Yi super well, you want to try them out. You come in, there are no jungle camps to take. So how do you actually, like, what do you do? You know what I'm saying? And the problem is fundamentally, it's not something that skill can fix, if you know what I mean, right? There is no way you can fix the fact that Master Yi is simply too weak to fight Tryndamere early. You can't fix it. It's a game design. You can't outplay it. And same with crowd control. You cannot outplay Nautilus ult or Leona just like sticking onto you. It's just you just cannot outplay it. And that's kind of why I prefer one-on-one. Is just because there are no teammates and there is no basically fed Jax because your jungler fed him jungle like the blue and red twice because he's Shaco and he just decided to gank level 2 into Jax's minion wave. And now I'm screwed because Jax counters Tryndamere the longer the game goes, right? And that's not my fault. It's because the jungler is just trolling me. And I don't want to get into. Of course, I know you can, become as good as Fogged, but you have to understand he's been playing this game since season 1, and before that he was playing Dota. So, and he is, I think he's like might be a little bit older or same my age as me as myself, right? So he's like early 30s, maybe mid 30s. But I mean, you have to understand the expense. Like, what's the benefit of you sitting for 20 years perfecting the game? Of course, he can get like 90-80% win rate in like whatever elo. Probably he can probably get 100% win rate in bronze, no problem. But I mean, what's the benefit of having such high skill? I mean, if you look at how he controls the champion, it's like holy shit. Like his positioning, the way he clicks, where he clicks, how he autos, how he spaces, everything is just so on point. It's like holy man, that's it's like it's very hard to do that, you know, because you come in after work, you want to play a couple of games. I mean, you're just gonna be exhausted by the fact that you were working. You're not gonna be fresh. To play like him, you gotta be like fresh because you gotta be so focused and precise. It's like so that it doesn't fix the problem with you come in and they pick Poppy and you're just doomed. That's it. And that guy could be some kind of 7-year-old kid who is like 20 IQ person, but the fact that he's playing Poppy and he can mouse click and click buttons is all you need. Even if Poppy goes like 0-2, like she's still gonna be more viable than you, right? As Tryndamere or as Riven or whatever, right? Or Garen is the same. I mean, you can pick Garen and that's it. I mean, you just build the right items and he is viable. Like even if you don't do anything, you still have your ult, which is always useful. Like when I was doing um, the dodging, remember I was doing like dodging 100% win rate, and I was picking Garen, and I was just playing him as a support, basically top lane with exhaust. Then once the team phasing part of the game started, I would literally buy an item that I would attach. It was like some kind of a helm, protection helm, or whatever the hell it's called, and I would bind it um, to my ADC to make sure that he doesn't get killed, and then that's it. And then anybody who approaches my ADC, I would just peel for him, exhaust them, kind of like support stuff. But his ult, Garen's ult, is just so busted. You are guaranteed the one kill in every team fight, guaranteed. Like, and it's so stupid because, like, let's say there is like, I remember that specific fight. There was some kind of fight, and Renekton got into a fight. I don't remember who it was. J4 maybe. I don't remember. But Renekton had like no health left. Now, if this was Tryndamere without ult, there is probably an outplay potential for Renekton if Tryndamere is on kind of like a little bit behind. But Garen, I had like 3,000 CS behind, and I just walk up to him, press my W and R, and he just dies, and that's it. It's kind of like having Ignite. There is really not much you can do to stop that 300 damage being applied to you because it's a mouse click. And that's the problem. That's what I'm saying is that in this game, there's shit like that exists everywhere. Like CC is one of it, and counter picking is one of it. Because to outplay your counter pick is so difficult that it's like. But to be honest with you, like when I look at as a player of League of Legends, it sucks. Honestly, it just sucks. Well, unless you're playing 1-on-1, but I'm talking about like as a player because I watch some people play and I know their struggles and it just sucks. Honestly, it's like it's bad. Unless you're on the other side where you pick the counter pick, then it's fun because you get to shit on the guy and he's just like, oh my god, what am I gonna do here? You know, what are you gonna do against Malphite as a Riven, for example? He just walks up to you and his Sunfire does more damage than your combos basically. If you're behind, it's just it's obnoxious game. Like it's just you can't do anything. And this Malphite is having fun because he's literally clicking at you and your something is just dying because he's not taking any damage, right? So it's fun that way. But so as a player, it sucks. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it sucks, right? But most of the time it sucks because I mean, are you really what's the skill expression of like how do you feel about yourself if I were to give you a car and you are racing against children on bicycles? Do you know what I mean? Like you, yeah, it's fun first 4 times when you win, but then you realize, holy shit, like those kids can't physically do much, you know? Like so, it takes away the pleasure of winning because you're just like, dude, you pick Gragas into Riven or Jax, right? And your bot lane just smashed, and all you did for the whole game, you just barely smacked Jax every time he tries to do something. Or you pick Poppy every time Jax tries to do something, you click your shield and Jax just can't play. That's it. That was the game that you played. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, it's not. That's what people say. You know, when they play League, they're like, oh, it's not fun to win. Yeah, because it's counter picking and there is not a lot of skill expression. So, but on the second topic is as a company, what Riot does as a business model is fantastic. Like I'm talking about, like it's a type of company that really knows how to milk money. If you think about it, right? Because what are they doing? Like fundamentally, well, if you think about Tryndamere, he used to be a champion. Used to be like with big used to be, where you could blind pick him into anything, and if you're skilled enough, you could overtake and win the game. Now, why is it bad for business? Because this limits players to one champion. That means they're not going to buy a lot of skins, right? So if we allow this to happen, like Riven is another champion, which like if you play really well, you can outplay anything. But I mean, Riven is in a different category because the level of skill required to pull off Riven is so high. It's like it's fine to have her around because not a lot of people will be able to do it. It's just the dedication requires too high, right? But Tryndamere was kind of like a easier version of that. This limits our ability to sell because there are only certain amount of skins we can sell on Tryndamere, right? And another problem is that Tryndamere is not very popular champion, right? I mean, kids they're like, what's that new dragon like this Pokemon, basically Pokemon champion, right? He sells a lot of skins. I mean, this is like a grown man with a beard with a sword. Not a lot of kids are gonna be appealed by this. Women certainly will not play this, right? So that's not viable. So we want to make sure that we control the outcome of the game and make sure that people play large variety of champions and that shit like that where you can just pick one champion and win the game does not exist because it's bad for a business model because if the pool of champions is very high the probability of person buying a skin becomes very high, right? Because and there are a lot more, like everybody likes Akali usually sells skins. Everybody likes Yasuo always sells skins, right? And if you're playing Yasuo and you know that you're gonna see Tryndamere on the enemy team, and you're gonna lose every single time because you're playing against the master Tryndamere who's just been playing Tryndamere only, right? That kind of diminishes your utility from business perspective. I know I'm probably going a bit technical and psychological on this shit, but overall, you see, we want to control the game, and we want to make sure that people play a large variety of champions, and even champions that are dog shit, like Twisted Fate, for example, or Rise, they still have a chance to win because that's what gives them satisfaction, right? And this will drive our sales of skins because that's how we make money, right? We make money on skins and whatever events and all that shit, right? So that's why you see that's where this engagement optimized matchmaking comes in, and that's where you get this. Why they're clamping down on anything that can carry solo because they want to maintain control of the game because we want you to have like think about it from business perspective, we want a person to buy a skin, right, and enjoy his money spent. And for us to do that, we want to make sure that there is no one trick Trindamir's Rivens running around and just like demolishing everything. And then we need to make sure that they don't get popular. That's not a very key point because if that shit is allowed to happen, they can start spreading. And again, you see our ability to sell skins because now you're limited to Tryndamere. Because anybody who thinks they want to win, they're gonna pick Tryndamere, right? So we need to clamp it down. We want to get to the level where when they think about winning, they think about playing well, which is delusional, of course, but and they think about, oh, I'm gonna pick my favorite Akali with a nice skin, and I'm gonna carry it, right? That's the way we want them to think. We don't want them to think, oh shit, we need to practice, right? We need to practice CSing, we need to get some coaching, and we need to pick a champion that is viable into blind pick. Something like whatever, let's say Riven, right? We do not want that because if that happens, we're not making any money. That's why you see all of this development happening. It's all just driven to hit the bottom line, right? That's why you have counter picks because it allows anyone with because you see again if we go back to one trick pony Tryndamere, right? If we keep him in his old state, he will just smash everything, and then people will start. There's no if we remove the ability of counter picking, right? Then what happens is people will be like, oh, I can just play Tryndamere all the time and just master him, and then just get to diamond real quick, and then that's it. I'm done with the game. There's not much to do in the game anymore. So that's why we want to clamp down on shit like that. That's why we can say, okay, so if they pick Tryndamere, we want to make sure that he doesn't go crazy. So okay, let's buff Malphite and let's nerf Tryndamere. Right? Now Riven is a different category, of course you can say, but like I mean, how many Rivens do you know that can pull off Challenger Riven? It's not going to happen, right? Because I tried Riven. I mean, like the amount of effort it requires to do anything meaningful with her is just so high. You can just pick Nasus and like if somebody allows you to farm for 3 minutes, there you go. You're now Riven basically because they just some Shen teleported bot gave you like 5 waves for free, 2 cannons. That's enough money for you to get your Shin and for you to get your CDR boots, and past that point, it's game over for Shen. You're so powerful. It's just, and for you to do that with Riven, the amount of effort you have to do, it's insane. Because not like Nasus is a brain dead champion. I mean, let's face it. He has no weaknesses apart from being super shit early game. Outside of that, if you pass that point, I mean, you're not gonna stop him. He always wins like his lane. I'm talking like unless you're playing against some kind of super smurf and they don't know how to play early game where they just shut you down hardcore, right? It's like you pick one-on-one Nasus. It's like there is a limited amount of champions that can do anything against them, right? Because yeah, you can take the turret, whatever, right? But I mean, As soon as he gets enough levels, as soon as he gets his CDR items and a bit of and his sheen, not much you can do against him. And again, like for you to do that with Riven, it's very, very difficult. So that's my rant, probably. I'm just saying, like, the reason why I'm making this video is my core focus in here is that jungle is not going to work because jungle, you have to remember, this is Riot Games game. So any position they have already figured out how to manage to the point where you can't really win the game by yourself, right? You don't have control over the game. Unless you are like folk, 20 years of experience, you're clicking perfectly. So, but if you're playing maybe slightly below your elo or in your elo, you're just gonna be coin flipping because somebody is just gonna counter pick you and they will do this to you in the jungle, and you're gonna be like level 3, this guy's like level 9, and you're thinking to yourself, holy shit, there is literally no jungle camps to take. I mean, look at his CS, 287 at 20 minutes. Like Jackson here is like he's like no CS at all. There was a game before that he played, he got like 600 CS, I think, right? Let me just see this real quick. No, that's the start of this game. Let's see the end of the last game. Yeah, look, 506 CS, 32 minutes. Even if you remove the kills, I mean, 506 CS, he took all the CS. And it's not that hard to do because, like, I didn't really get to 500 CS, but I mean, I've done shit like that as well. But it was a long time ago with the TMAT. I think this TMAT is now works the same as the old one, so you can do it now as well. It has like this passive, and you can click it, and it does the damage. So you see, like if they pick Master Yi and I pick Tryndamere, I can do that to them, and they have literally no way to farm. So again, it's a counter pick problem. It's the same top, it's the same mid, it's the same bot lane. You pick Vayne with Janna, they pick Alistair with Draven. You can't farm. That's it. Bot lane, you just can't farm. You go into jungle, you pick Master Yi, they pick Udyr, Volibear, I don't know, Tryndamere, whatever counters. Kha'Zix, I think, also counters him hardcore, and you can't farm. So that's jungle is off, bot lane is off. If you try support, you pick Alistair, you do engages, but your ADC is just like watching television or eating pizza while you're engaging. Like you're not gonna carry. Or like my Soroka example, where we got to late game, we fulfilled all the conditions to win, but the team simply refused to finish the game. And what am I gonna do? Solo Baron as Soroka? I can't do that, right? So support is not viable either because you can't control the outcome of the game. So what you have mid lane, right? Mid lane again, you can get counterpicked, and mid lane there's constant jungle. It's just this jungler. When I was playing mid lane, man, jungle just drove me insane every single time he's there. And top lane, what? Top lane, you are in an island where if you get counterpicked, you can't play, and you are completely team reliant because better bot lane wins most of the time, right? And you have no control over the dragons, which is like the main objective. So you see, like any way you put it, Riot already figured it out how to mess you around, basically. How to force you to play a variety of champions and focus more on champion rotation and playing a lot of games as opposed to picking one specific champion and mastering the champion because you can then control the outcome of the game, right? And again, like spending 20 years like Fog playing something that is like this is back to one-on-one basically, because I was thinking maybe I should, come back, maybe get diamond, I don't know, whatever. But like I usually watch stuff like that and think to myself, holy shit, like do I really want to spend that time? And then what do you do with the loser skill? Like, I mean, Even if they pick like I don't know some kind of Camille top lane, you smash her, but your whole team is just feeding their asses off. Like you get into this problem where now you're facing extremely overfed, overleveled enemy team, and they have CC, which is like, and you see like, okay, when I was playing Tryndamere, when I was diamond level, right? Okay, you can take turrets, you can split push, you can 1v2, 1v3. Sometimes you get so fed. All right, you can do that. But in today, I mean, they're gonna get dragons and Baron, and you split like split pushing. I don't think works anymore at all because objectives are so important, right? So, oh, unplayable game, dude. It's just that like I already finished so much shit in GTA 5, and playing one on one is like I win so much. It's just becoming too repetitive, I suppose. So I was thinking, what other games that are available? I looked at like the RPG games, like World of Warcraft style games, but I mean they look all the same to me, to be honest with you. It's just like there's like this, you're running around, somebody, you have a fire spell, you have this spell, you have shield, there's like a meteor coming from the sky, and then there's you're fighting this big monster. Sometimes it's a bear, sometimes it's some kind of skeleton, sometimes it's a dragon, but I mean fundamentally it's all the same, not to poop on. Maybe if I try to play them as opposed to just watching and uh, pooping on them, maybe I'm gonna have fun. But I mean, it doesn't look to me like it's just like it's like Diablo. You play Diablo, you just smash your buttons for like 30 minutes, and then shit dies on screen, and you're like, yeah, congratulations, you unlocked a new spell, and it's like you press the spell. It's like previous one was yellow flame, now there is like blue flame, and it's like longer and it's in shape of a snake or some shit like that. You're like, dude, it's like it's the same spell. Only it looks different because fundamentally that nothing changes. You just like you're still smashing buttons and you're clicking on the screen. I don't know, it's maybe me just ranting. Maybe I should try it. Maybe I'll enjoy it. Because honestly, I was kind of pooping on GTA 5. I was like, well, GTA 5, I never really pooped on it, but it didn't look like something I would enjoy. But then I played it, and it was like, wow, that was a pretty good game, I have to say. So maybe I should try it. Anyway, fundamentally, if you think you're gonna do jungle, guess what? They're gonna counter pick you, and then you can't farm because there is no jungle to take because they are farming your jungle, and then game over. And then we're not even factoring in that if your mid loses, it gets even worse. Because sometimes I played like jungle, and holy shit, our mid had like Talon against it, and he was playing Yasuo, I think, or some shit like that, and he lost so hard, it was like 0-6 or something. And Talon would be sitting in my jungle all the time, all the time. I think I was playing with Udyr back then. I was trying to test to see if Udyr can actually carry. Like, but then, man, this Talon was there all the time because Yasuo was just dying. He basically became a large minion. So Talon would just press Q, this guy dies again, and then he would just walk and sit and try to farm me as well. But then he gave up and he just started farming bot lane. He got so like I watched one of his engages, he literally just pressed Q and bot lane just died. That's it. Not Q, but the he pressed Q and R, and then that's it. Like the bot lane just double killed. Two buttons basically. He got so fed, and I was like, holy shit, what did you do? What did you do now? And now I'm looking at this, I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, if I'm like, because I was thinking maybe Nasu's jungle because he can stack so quickly in jungle. But now I'm thinking to myself, shit, they're gonna pick Kha'Zix or Udyr or Volibear, and then literally walk into my jungle, and I'll be just standing there looking and thinking to myself, holy shit, what do I do now? Bottom line, unplayable. Back to 1-on-1. Take care. Bye.